All right, let's do it. Prop the mic, PTM. We're live with the simulcast. Dave's in New York. I'm here in LA, ready to jump into this nice Thursday night NBA slate. But with a little twist today, we're going to dig into some alt props from our sheet that we post every morning and call our favorites so that we can all cash some builders tonight. As always, today's podcast is presented by Props.cash. We 100% cannot do what we do without Props.cash. So if you think you're ready to level up your prop betting game, use code PTM at sign up to get 25% off your first month. What's going on, Dave? You ready for a little different spin on a PTM pod today?
I am. And first of all, happy Leap Day.
Yes.
My kids were very excited about Leap Day today. So I had to look up was anybody in the NBA born on Leap Day? And of course, Tyrese Halliburton. If I were to pick one player in the league who was born on Leap Day, I would have probably said Tyrese Halliburton. So,
just seems like that kind of guy.
Yeah. So happy 6th birthday, Tyrese.
Kids love that. I remember loving that as a kid.
Yeah. It is pretty cool. All right. So here we go. So we're gonna go through our alt props, our famous alt props cheat sheet. Just to give you a little history on this started back in December, and we said, you know what? There's like so many great props out there to build alt builders with, right? Alt builder just being taking a couple props, alting them down, and then putting them together to get like a plus 100 play. But we kind of like felt like it was random, the approach that we were going through. So what we did was we kind of built out this cheat sheet so that every day we're able to pull using props.cash every player who's got an 85% hit rate for an alted down line, depending on where they are. If they're home that day, then it looks at the home location. If they're away, it looks at their away location. And that's kind of how this started back in December, and it's evolved, right? You guys have done an awesome job providing feedback, both on X and in the Discord as to how you want to see things. So we've added columns, we've kind of enhanced some things. So before we dive into the format real quick, overall, really nice results, right? If you look at the top of the sheet, we are 1,048 wins and 275 losses, which gives us a 79% hit rate. Yesterday, we went 17-4, so we were above that average, 81%. A couple days ago, we were in the 90s, and a couple days before that, we actually swept and got 100% of our picks. So this is a really good tool. We love using it. We're going to walk you through how it works real quick, and then we're going to dive into the props that are out here today and try to come up with kind of our favorite props to build a builder. All right?
Let's do it.
All right. So real quick, you got the date, 29th. Home road just basically means the location of that player on the day. So Devin Booker, for example, we'll use him as we walk through this, is at home tonight. We got the player, their team. Booker plays for Phoenix. His opposing team is Houston tonight. Prop that we're looking at is first assists and the line, right? So I didn't actually look at what Booker's actual line is. It's probably something around like 5.5. But his alted down line that will get us, decent value is at 4. He's got a 96% hit rate, getting 4 assists at home, a 92% hit rate, the next column, overall on the season. All right, and then here's a column that we've added in the last couple of weeks versus the opponent. So against Houston, he's 1 of 2 this year, right? So cleared in one, missed in the other. Last 10, this is also a nice new addition. We added how has he been performing recently, because now that we're getting deeper into the season, we don't want to just look at, whatever the 30-something home games he's had and ignore, potentially a recent trend. So in the last 10 games overall, he's cleared an 8 out of 10. So that's where we get our 80%. And then the DVP is the latest column that we added. So this is actually something that a couple people on X had requested months back. We finally got around to taking our DVP cheat sheet that we put out, merging it with this. So the DVP stands for defense versus position. This is basically saying that players of Booker's position against Houston are number 4 out of 30. So it basically means that Houston is the 4th best team in the league at defending opposing. What is Booker? A wing? Is he a wing?
I think he's
combo.
Combo, yeah.
Combo. Okay. So at defending combo guards, Houston is giving up the fourth least assists in the league over the last. We look at a 6-week period over the last 6 weeks. So this actually says that that's not a great matchup to play. Doesn't mean we won't play it because the hit rates are so high, but that's kind of how you read this. If you scroll down a little bit further, you look at Banchero with a DVP of 30. That's actually the best you can have in the league because there's 30 teams in the league. So the Utah defending bigs, assists against bigs, giving up the most in the league over the last 6 weeks. So that's kind of how this reads. If you guys have any questions on how to use this after we go through it today, feel free to message us on X, message in the Discord. We have both a VIP section of the Discord, free section of the Discord. So just come on in, and that's probably the best way to get in touch and have any questions. But without further ado, let's dive into today's slate. Tom, why don't you start us kind of where you want to begin in the assist section?
Where do I want to begin in the assist section? So I think my first inclination is to go to the guy with the best matchup there, with the 30th overall, which would mean that Utah is allowing the most assists per minute to opposing. Banchero is a big in our model here. Bigs over the last 4 to 6 weeks, around there, 6 weeks. So,
and I'm gonna, before you continue, I'm gonna pull this off the screen. You should all have this. We just shared it on X, so you pull it up on your screen, the alt prop cheat sheet. I'm gonna pull up props.cash so you can actually see some of the data that Tom's talking about as we go through it. Okay.
Yeah. So another thing we do kind of behind the scenes a bit is that we also take those DVPs, like convert them to a percentile and then match that up with the player's percentile at that position. So for example, Banchero gets an overall rating of 90% today. So that's that's his DVP percentile matchup combined with his own personal, percentile where he ranks in the league at generating assists. So it actually happens to be the highest of any alt prop today out there at the 90th percentile matchup. So that was why I was initially honing in on Banchero here. And if you want to pull it up and see what he's done, his line is 4 assists minus 650. So decent leg to a builder there. And yeah, you could see there he's done it in 9 of his last 10 games.
Right. So that's where that 90% comes from on the sheet. And then if you look for the whole season across home and away, he's got an 81% hit rate. You can see that on props.cash here at 81. And they are playing at home tonight. You can see he's got that 85% hit rate at home. Right. So, and also has cleared in 6 straight games at home. We can also look against Utah. He's played Utah. Props.cash shows 3 because they're showing all the way back to last year too. But if you look at just this year, back in November, they played and he had 5 assists against Utah. So that all that data checks out. What else are you seeing on him that would make you want to play this?
Nope, that's about it right there. I think that covers it.
All right, so that's probably the best of the best. It's interesting because the best hit rate is actually Booker at 4 assists. But he has the worst matchup, and then the worst hit rate on assist is Banchero, but he's got the best matchup. So, but I do like that recency. I like the 1 of 1. Honestly, I mean, you look across the board, Lillard at 5 assists. He's done this 3 times versus Charlotte, including a couple nights ago. Brandon Miller. That's probably the guy I would probably play the least just because even though he's done it 3 out of 3 times, he's only done it in 6 out of his last 10 games. And also he's done it 86% of the time. He's done it 86% of the time on the road, but he's at home, but he's only done it 75% of the time overall. So he's fairly inconsistent. So I don't know. Let's take a look at Lillard. I would say, actually, let's look at Booker first because he was top of the list. And I want you to give me a reason why I wouldn't play Booker here.
Why you wouldn't play Booker?
So the first thing I had up from the prior chart. So again, his straight line is 5.5. Like I said before, -142. We can take it down to 3.5, which is the altered line that we're looking at. And you could see in his 2 matchups this year versus Houston, he put up 7 assists back in December, and he put up 2 assists back in February. I always like to look at the minutes on Props.cash, just make sure that wasn't a game where he got injured or ejected or anything like that. He did play 36 minutes in that game versus Houston, so that's a little concerning, right? But I mean, if you just look across the season, he's pretty much got 4 assists in almost every game. If you drill into the home games, he's only missed in 1 game. It was 2 home games ago against Detroit, and he only played 5 minutes in that game. So pretty much every game that he's played at home, that he's played more than 6 minutes, he's cleared. So I still think it's safe if you wanted to include Booker, but from a matchup standpoint, it is a little concerning that he's only 1 for 2 against Houston.
Yeah, he's nice on 3 days rest too. 4 straight games on 3 days rest. So just another nice split to look at there.
7. That's just over the course of this season, right? Yep. 7 and 6. So that's also nice. So I think you're good if you play Booker. Sohan is he's hurt us in the past. Although he's got really good success against OKC. You could see he was 2 for 2 against OKC. I think he cleared 4 assists in both of those games. Mm-hmm. Not the best DVP matchup. Miller, like we said, I would stay away from.
Yeah, I'd stay away from Sohan and Miller.
Young guys in they're on teams where the lineups are changing so dramatically from game to game that I think those are generally guys we want to avoid, right?
Mm-hmm. The two line, the line of over 2+ assists is very tempting. I just those are the guys that I feel like end up burning you more often.
It's always that the two, they usually pick up 1 early and then you spend the next 3 quarters sweating out 1 assist. Let's look at Dame against Charlotte. Like I said, again, his total line is 6.5. The altered line is 5. So that's why he's gone over in 3 of 3. Sorry, that's on 3 days rest. There we go. 5 straight if you include last season, and 3 of 3 this season. So 5, 8, and 7.
Yeah, I like those too because I think both those games were like massive blowouts if I remember correctly.
Definitely the one the other day. He only played 24 minutes. So yeah, you got to figure. This game being in Charlotte, maybe it's a little bit more competitive. It's hard to blow out a team 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
So yeah, he got 7 assists in like almost no time. So I think that's probably a good play tonight as well. Mm-hmm. Also his recent trend, if you look on the alt prop sheet, 10 of his last 10, right? So that's checking off with Props.cash. DVP matchup 22. So that's basically a top 9 matchup for point guards. So I think the 3 stars on here are probably the guys to go with: Booker, Lillard, Banchero, right?
Yep. That's where I would go.
All right, let's go on to points. And it's interesting, before we transition to points, we actually have like really good metrics that we track in the back end on the success of assists, points, and rebounds. And actually all 3 categories track right around that 79% mark. So there really is no one category that's better than the other, but points is definitely the one where you probably have the most forgiveness, because you're not talking about 2, 3, 4 assists or 5 rebounds. You're talking about like 15 or 20 points. But yeah, let's start with your favorite on the point side. What do you like here?
I'm gonna go with my favorite with the assists is my favorite with the points. It's a Paolo Banchero kind of day. Banchero 15+ points. Minus 800, so not the best leg to a builder, but it's still very feasible. He, again, I believe this is a this is the number 1 matchup, right? Yeah, bigs against Charlotte. He's in there 30th DVP. Like I mentioned before, the combined percentile rankings 79%. That was one of the highest on the board today in terms of points. So he gets a great matchup. There you see 15 points. 9 of his last 10. There's the 3 straight against. Sorry, I said Charlotte. It's what is it? Utah.
Yeah.
Utah. Sorry. Yeah, look at that. 26. It's just one this season, right?
Yeah, 2
one,
from last year, 19-26, when he wasn't really scoring quite as much as he actually towards the end of last season he was. So you could see 19-26, and then the start of this season he had 30. So only 1 for 1 this season, but it was a big one, right?
Yeah. Yes.
If you look at his recency, the sheet says a 90% hit rate. So if we look at the last 10 games, he has cleared. Going into the All-Star break, he was really hot. Coming out of the All-Star break, he put up like a really bad game against Cleveland. I think we actually included him in a builder in that game. Only had 12 points in that game. Put up 15 against Detroit, also a rough game there. So is there any concern about his kind of readiness? I think he's taken a few games off since these. You think he's in good shape for tonight?
I would think so if he's coming back to play. I think what is he on? He
He's
missed
on
the
4
last
days
game,
rest.
right? 4 days rest now, right?
Yeah.
So I would think so. I don't know, and I don't know otherwise to say that he wouldn't be. I think if he's out there, he's good to go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be my only concern about Banchero tonight is just the recent 2-game trend and the fact that he needed all that time off. He hit the game winner in who was that against? Detroit or Cleveland, one of those games, and was like crying at the end of the game too. So like, I don't know. I think he's got a lot going on in his head right now. So that would be my only caution. But from a matchup standpoint, phenomenal. From a historical standpoint, phenomenal. So it does seem like a good play.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else on the point side that was standing out to you?
Yeah, 2 others that I liked. I like Durant, 20+ points, minus 550. So pretty good leg there. He's also same percentile ranking, 79th percentile ranking. What's his DVP? 23. So that's the eighth most points per minute to opposing bigs. That's Houston's defense. So he's also what is he? 9 of 9 of his last 10. Also, I like looking. I love.
Oh, sorry, he's at 20. I had him at 25.
You had him at 20. Oh, sorry. Yeah, he's at 20.
Yeah, I was like, I don't.
Yeah. Also like him on. I love looking at the days rest. He's on 3 days rest today. An old man like Kevin Durant. I think the old rest is the extra rest is beneficial, and you can see he's really excelled. 28, 29, 39 points. It was all last season. Hasn't played on 3 days rest this season, so I think he'll be looking forward to playing on the extra rest today in a nice matchup for him. So loving KD.
Yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned this, 2 of 2 versus Houston, so 27 points, 28 points.
This season. Yeah.
This season, the 28 points just came a couple days ago. So the only variable that you got to be careful with Phoenix is just the absence or presence of Beal. It looks like Beal is day to day, so there's probably a shot that he plays tonight, but I didn't really look into that.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, Durant at 20 points is usually pretty solid. And also, if I recall, he's his averages at home versus away are much higher, right? Let me see. So he's averaging 28.6 points at home, and he's averaging 27.3 on the road. He's got a 81% hit rate on the road, and he's got a 96% hit rate, which is what the sheet says at home. So, and that blends to an 88% hit rate overall. So I do think Durant at 20 home or away is good. I think at home against a team that he's done it 2 for 2 is excellent. So let's go with Durant. Okay.
All right.
Who else? Anybody else? You said you had a third?
Yeah, I like SGA was my third. He's
just like an auto play for this sheet all the time. He's like 25 points for him is like it's just like almost a guarantee. So
yeah, first half guarantee. Let's go. And it's a nice leg, minus 460, right? I mean, that's pretty decent for a builder leg.
Excellent.
When you're getting, I mean, Giannis 20 plus is like minus 1,200 or something, minus 1,000, right?
Yeah, it really depends on where you shop for these lines too. That's the thing. You got to be patient. You got to look at multiple books. We usually look at DraftKings and FanDuel, but for example, Giannis, 20 points was minus 1,200 on one book and minus 600 on the other. So very different value. So I would say don't worry about the odds initially. Put together your favorite 4 or 5 props, then see what the odds are, and then you can tweak and shop between the two. You don't necessarily want the odds to dictate your play, right? You want to find your best plays and then figure out how to make you're almost better to find 5 quality guys, put them together for a plus 100 than to find 4 that you're not as confident about that give you plus 100, right?
Yeah.
Is that good advice, Tom?
That is great advice. That's how I approach it. I don't even look. I did the exact same thing. We'll get to it when we wrap up. I have a 4 pick that I liked quite a bit here that I got to, and the odds, I assembled it, and then I found out what the odds would be, and it worked out beautifully. It doesn't always work out that way, but sometimes, maybe it's worth paying a little bit of juice to, take your 4 favorite that you feel most confident in, and take it at minus 135 or something, and have a good chance of cashing that ticket.
Definitely. All right, so back to SGA, 25 points, 86% at home, on the road, 86% overall, 2 for 2 versus San Antonio, 9 for his last 10. Kind of middle of the pack matchup against the Spurs at a 16 DVP. What else were you liking out of this?
No, I mean, I think you just said it all. That's basically it. Great matchup.
Yeah, and he's also got 6 straight games. Most of those were at home, right? 4 out of those 6 were at home, but he's got 6 straight games with 30 plus points. So he's kind of like shifting it in another gear. Both games against San Antonio he had 28 points, 32 points. Again, take the time to look at the minutes, right? If he got 28 points and that was like an overtime game and he played 42 minutes, that's room for concern. But he did that in 28 minutes and 29 minutes. If you look at his last 10 games, he's averaging 35 minutes. So even if this one's a blowout, 28 minutes, he'll play that most likely. So that's a pretty good comp to feel confident about.
Yeah. Another little tidbit here. So what our in our model, what we look at is also like where the player does their scoring versus where the opponent's defense like gives up a lot of their scoring, and it works out really well. That's why the overall DVP for point guards against San Antonio might not be a top pick, but where point guards have been doing their damage against San Antonio is at the rim and from short mid-range, and that mid-range game, and not from 3. They've actually been better defending point guards. And what's SGA's game? I mean, his whole game is in the paint there. So I think this bodes very well for him. So if you dig a little bit further into the DVP, which we do here, you can see that it's an excellent matchup for him.
Okay.
And it goes to show you that what is he 2 for 2 against San Antonio this year, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we got Durant, SGA, Banchero. Those are probably our 3 favorite out of the what do we got? Points. Like 8 here in the point section. So, but some of those other ones are good. Like Giannis is definitely a good look at 92% hit rate on 20 points, but he's only 1 of 3 versus Charlotte this year. So, Giannis, you got to be careful with. Like once a game gets out of hand, he tends to check out a little bit. So, so I personally would lay off at Giannis today, even though it's like a phenomenal matchup, right? 4th best matchup, DVP score of 27.
Yep.
Which basically means it's the 4th best matchup for opposing bigs. We know Charlotte's bad at defending the bigs, but Giannis might be playing 25 minutes tonight. So we'll see. So those are our 3 there. And let's wrap it up with the rebounds. So who do you like on the rebound side?
I got 2 plays that I liked quite a bit. Going with my man, Jeremy Sohan here. You can forget about Jeremy Sohan assist, but Jeremy Sohan rebounds is always a home run. The guy's an elite rebounder at his position, like 99th percentile We had one game where we had his line, I think it was at 5.5, and it was the DVP matchup was jumping out. He ended up, I think, with 12 something rebounds that game. So he only needs 4 in this matchup, minus 430. Nice leg. That overall matchup percentile, 81st percentile for Sohan. So really nice. What was his DVP here?
Yes, DVP is 21. But again, it's, we know OKC is not a good rebounding team. So,
Yeah.
and he's a tough player to cap. He's similar to like Cade Cunningham, where he kind of plays multiple positions. So he's listed here in props like cash as a power forward. He plays point guard. He does rebound like a big. Cleaning the glass, what has him at what position?
Combo
as a combo guard, right? So he basically covers like every position. But anyway, I think 8 for his last 10 is nice. He is only 1 for 2 versus OKC though. So does that give you any concern? He had 3 back in November in 27 minutes, and then much more efficient 5 against OKC back in January with 24 minutes. So
not really. I think no. I think he's in that was much earlier in the season too, right?
The one that he missed was early in the season. The one that he hit was in January. What's probably more concerning is just this last game, which was 2 nights ago against Minnesota. He had 0 rebounds and only played 16 minutes. So I actually didn't dig into what the story was there, but before including this leg, I would definitely try to understand what happened there. We can look on props like cash if he was in foul trouble. No, he only had 1 foul. So I definitely make sure there's no injury issue. I definitely make sure there's nothing going on from a Popovich standpoint where he's like done with this guy and just going to play him 15 minutes. But that would be my only cause for concern.
Yeah, you see him popping up on this list a lot. I think he's a guy that you can find value on. I think part of the reason why is like you just mentioned this like position classification. You said, props.cash has him listed as power forward. The reason why is that last season he played 90% of his minutes at power forward, 9% of his minutes at small forward. Complete flip to this season where he's played 44% of his minutes at point guard and 54% of his minutes at shooting guard. So I think you're getting some of his lines maybe set and some of his DVP that you're looking at based on him being a power forward when he's actually, playing in a guard role this season. So I think you can kind of find some with that edge that can help you get some cash some Jeremy Sohan tickets.
It's always good.
Yes.
It's very painful when you don't cash on Jeremy Sohan. I can tell you that. All right. So you said you had what, 2 or 3 from the rebounds?
I got one
more.
Yeah. Saddiq Bey, I like that. You can see 30th overall. So the best matchup forwards against Brooklyn. I've had the have had the most rebounds per minute over the last 6 weeks. This is in terms of odds, the best leg that giving out here, minus 380. So one that you're going to want to include, though it has, I think this did burn us recently, if I remember correctly, on a builder. But, I think it was that red one right there.
This one right here. We had a
but otherwise, it's been money. Probably playing some extra minutes. You got Trey Young out for a while, so might need some extra rotation minutes for Saddiq Bey there. So what do you think? What do you think about Bey?
Yeah, what I will say is this Orlando game here was we were just introducing the DVP and we didn't fully incorporate that into our decision making. And actually, Orlando for forwards was not a good matchup. So it actually proved the value of kind of following the DVP. Mm-hmm. I think it's good. I just want to look at his minutes on props like cash. He's been playing 30 plus minutes. This one game against Phoenix in the last 10, he only played 16 minutes. I don't know what happened there, but I like that 9 straight games with 30 plus minutes. If we just early in the season, he wasn't really playing quite that much, right? It wasn't until some injuries. But if you look at his his season. This is not home or away, and we don't even have this view, obviously, as part of the alt props, because this would be hard to do for every player. But 95% hit rate when he plays 30 plus minutes. So if you think this game tonight's going to be competitive, if you think Bay will play his 10th straight game of 30 plus minutes, this one seems like a really, really good play.
Yeah. Just looking here, what he's done without Trae Young.
Is Trae out? Yeah, Trae's out again.
Yeah, he's out for a little while. Yeah, he's 5 for 7 this season.
That's interesting. Two of the misses with 30 plus minutes actually came when Trae wasn't playing. So I don't know if that team just kind of gets a little wacky when Trae's out, but I could see that being a problem.
Yeah.
What about, all right, so I like Bay, but what about Capella, right? Who's on I think he's on a bit of a minutes restriction, but 7 rebounds for Capella. Come on, man. How do we not play that?
7 rebounds for Capella. Let's take a look here. Oh, 10 straight, huh?
10 straight. He had 15 and 12 against Brooklyn. Now he played 27 and 28 minutes in those games. So if we look at his last 10, right? He played 19 minutes in his first game back. He played 17 in his second game back on February 25th. And then the game against Utah, which was 2 days ago, he played 25 minutes. So it does kind of seem like his minutes restriction is lifted. He's not a 30-minute game guy. Like if you look over the course of the entire season, he's only averaging 25 minutes. So he's kind of back to his average. I wouldn't necessarily say one game is is proof of that, but I think with Trae out, they probably are in a position where they need to push him. This is a very winnable game for them tonight. 7 rebounds seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
not a great DVP matchup, right? The Nets are giving up the 8th least rebounds to opposing centers, but there aren't a lot of centers in the league who rebound quite like Clint. So I kind of give him a little bit of a pass on the DVP. What do you think?
I think that is now if I remember correctly, I want to take a look at this real quick. Rebounds. I think Brooklyn's gives up a ton of rebounds except to bigs, right? Is that
I could see that. Well, we know they give up the most rebounds to opposing forwards. So if you're talking about just front court, the forwards are dominating and the bigs are not, but I'm sure the guards are also pretty good too.
Yeah. 24th for point guards, 24th for wings. It's the best forward matchup, and then 8th for bigs. So,
and I would say Jalen Johnson as well is worth a look. Cleaning the Glass has flipped him from a forward to a big recently. Maybe partially because Capella was out and he was playing more minutes in the big position, but again, if you classify him as a big, not a great matchup. If you classify him as a forward, an excellent matchup. So at 7 rebounds, he might also be worth a look. So you do have 3 options on Atlanta that are pretty good when you look at the matchup. So
nice.
All right.
We got a couple questions on YouTube here. If you want to take a quick look at them.
Yeah.
First one was from Reeve Barker on YouTube, asking about Malik Beasley threes and/or points today.
Okay. Let's look at that. We don't actually have threes incorporated into this model, so we'll kind of. Did you have any other questions, Tom, with respect to the alt props?
To the alt props, not specific. This was no.
Okay, all right. So we'll close that out. That's basically the alt props, and we kind of gave out our favorites. We liked Banchero, we liked Lillard, we liked Booker for assists, we liked Durant, and SGA and Banchero for points, and then we like Saddiq Bey, Sohan, and maybe Capella as well for rebounds. That was kind of how we would do that. So feel free to put any of those together and come up with a nice builder. If you put 4 legs together, you can probably get plus 100. You put 5, maybe plus 120, 6, maybe plus 150 or 160, something like that. So definitely drop in our in our post any plays that you come up with from this, and let us know if this was a helpful review. Before we end, we'll hit up these few questions regarding Beasley. Was it?
Yeah, Beasley.
All right. So
Beasley. the one I like, the one just real quick, because you were mentioning, the one I liked was Banchero 15 points, Banchero 4 assists, Durant 20 points, and Sadiq Bey 4 rebounds. It was -105. That was a nice.
That's beautiful.
That was a nice little builder there. Yeah.
All right, so let's post that one up on X as well. We'll share that one. Okay.
All
right. So on to our Q&A section of the pod. Malik Beasley threes was the question. That was one of them, right?
Beasley threes and/or points was the question. Yes.
All right. So let's just look at his history against Charlotte. He did dominate them in the first 2 meetings this season, 6-7. He only had 2 the other night in terms of threes. He's kind of played the same minutes in all games, regardless of the score, 29 minutes, 25, 26. So right in that, I would assume he'll get about 26 minutes again tonight, maybe a little bit more if it's closer. Is this looking like a good play from a matchup standpoint, Tom?
Charlotte, middle of the pack in terms of 3-point attempts to wings, 16th overall. Actually, pretty poor against. If you look at him as a combo guard, it's the 3rd worst matchup in terms of 3-point attempts. So I would say he's a wing though. That's middle of the pack, and then the points also 12th. They've been, it's like the bigs, like forwards and bigs and point guards are doing their damage against Charlotte, and it seems like these these shooting guards, small forward types are haven't been as successful. What was his? Did you mention already what his success was against them?
Points wise, he put up 20 and 21 in the first 2 meetings with 6 and 7 threes. 2 nights ago, he put up only 6 points with 2 threes. So
I have a hard time with the guy like Beasley. It's like all 3-point variance with him, basically, right?
Yeah.
If the shot's falling that night, it's making it like there's no getting to the free throw line and getting to the rim with him to kind of make things happen if his 3-point shot's not falling. If it's not, you're done. So I don't know. I don't love guys like Beasley for that reason. But
yeah, I mean, what I would say is if you got a high variance guy, those are guys to maybe not play like a straight play on, but to play like a an alted up line or something like that. So if you think Beasley is going to go off, you play him for like 5 threes, small units, 1/10 of a unit, maybe a quarter unit, and see if you can get a big cash out of that, as opposed to playing like -120 or -170 for the threes, and dealing with all that variance. So
yes, Breed of One just compared him to J.R. Smith. Great comparison.
You mean J.R. Smith, the famous college golfer?
The famous college golfer. Yes.
J.R. Smith really just rode LeBron's coattails, huh?
Yeah.
We could have a whole pod on J.R. Smith. We can give him an NIL deal and get him on PTM.
There we go.
Okay. What was the other question that we had on YouTube?
We had 2 others here now. G. Cruz asked about Terry Rozier, points and assists.
Okay. I did rerun right before the pod. I did rerun the alt prop sheet, and Terry Rozier was showing up on there. So, all right. So they're playing Denver tonight. Terry's, a tough one just because he's coming off of injury. And the Heat in general are hard to look at historicals because their lineup changes all the time. He's classified as a point guard on Miami. On Charlotte, I think he was actually classified as a shooting guard, right? Because LaMelo was at the point. He did put up 19 points the other day in his first game back. Did play 30 minutes. So I guess minutes aren't really too much of a concern. But they were down, right? No hero in that game. Maybe Butler played in that game. I don't remember. So anyway, with all that said, what do you like?
It is a good matchup. Point guards. I mean, he. I'm just looking at cleaning the glass here. He's since joining the Heat, he's played 100% of his minutes at point guard for the Heat. Denver is number 2. They've allowed the second most points per minute to opposing point guards over the last 6 weeks or so, and then assists also 25th, so the 6th most assists per minute. So yeah, you might have found a nice little matchup there for Terry Rozier, points and assists. That's looking pretty nice. Any recent comps?
Yeah, what I would say is if you want to kind of go the alt prop angle, the 2 props that were popping on that in terms of historical trends were 10 points and 4 assists. So that might be another direction you go. But again, it's hard to look at Terry just because most of his data was on Charlotte. He hasn't played a lot of games for Miami yet.
Yeah.
All right. What's our last one?
Chet. Oh, we got a bunch coming, but this next one up was Chet points.
All right, Chet.
I will say, I'm just double checking right now. Yeah. Chet in our big model here, the one I was referencing earlier about combining the players percentile versus the DVP percentile. Chet Holmgren actually has the highest rating on our board here. Is a 90th percentile ranking when you combine the 2. So he has the best scoring matchup on paper on our board here. So that is looking like a great play.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's largely because of the opposing centers that have recently faced. So you got really good centers that they've faced recently with Sabonis 22 points, AD 28 points. Naz Reid kind of stole the show the other night, got 22 points. And even Walker Kessler cleared his line at 10. So
they will. Yeah. It is worth noting you have to be a little cautious with the bigs or centers, the DVPs versus San Antonio, because Embiid's 70 point performance is in there. So that's definitely dragging that average up quite a bit. So just worth noting if you want to get really get granular with things. Anyway.
Yeah. This is the Wemby Chet matchup, version 3, right? The first one was a complete dud. Our friend from Goliath Sports was at that game and witnessed neither of the stars performing very well. I think Chet put up 9. You could see second time they played, Chet put up 17 in 30 minutes. So he played 30 minutes in both games. So the historicals, matchup concerns me a little bit. I don't know if there's just like too much hype behind these games, but maybe because it's the third time they're playing, maybe they'll relax and actually score a little bit. So I think it's a good play. I think it's a good matchup.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else?
Yeah, we had 2 others if you have time. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Josh Hart rebounds. Never have to convince me of Josh Hart rebound play, though. He did burn us the other day, hooked us at 8. His line's still at 8.5. Minus 120. It looks like maybe it's creeping. It's creeping up a little bit. BetMGM, it's at 9.5 now, but plus money.
No, minus 130 on FanDuel for.
Yeah.
So that's really good value considering DraftKings is minus 140, Caesars is minus 148. So, yeah, it's hard to argue with that. I would love 8. Right, I would love to put 8 and put something else with it, just because he tends to land on 8 a lot. But this is a pretty good matchup for him, right?
This is. Let me take a look.
And while Tom's pulling that up, I mean, just look at the minutes, right? One of his misses, the Orlando game, he only had 3 rebounds, but he only played 29 minutes. All those other games, he's playing 35 plus minutes. And of his last 10 games, he's played 6 games with 40 plus minutes. So,
yeah, I mean, it's not forwards against Cleveland Glass has him as a forward. Forwards against Golden State is a very good matchup. but but weird. I always find these interesting though, where like the forward matchup is really good, but the wing matchup really poor. I don't know. And he's one of those guys that kind of straddles those two positions. So, but yeah, he's an elite rebounder. When he's out there, he's been playing big minutes lately with all these injuries for the Knicks. So yeah, it's definitely a play I would go back to.
Yeah, I mean, I like Kuzma getting 12 rebounds. On a line of 6.5, I like Markkanen and Collins both putting up 14 and 13 rebounds. These are bigs that are not traditional bigs. So yeah, I think 8.5 is good. I like 8. Like I said, I like 8 even better. He tends to kind of land there a lot. So if you can get it at 8 and put it with something else, maybe from the all props we just went through, that could be nice as well.
Yeah. All right, last one. DeJounte Murray, PRA, 35 PRA without Trey.
Are we really going to end the show on DeJounte Murray? Come on, man. Come on.
No, not doing it.
No, let's do it. Who's this question from?
This is from MXRCO on X.
All right, let's go. MXRCO. DeJounte lover. 37.5 PRA. You can get it for 36.5 on DraftKings. That's nice value, right? Minus 125. And let's look at him without Trey on props.cash. Yeah, I mean, this whole season he's played 7 games without Trey. He's cleared in 4 out of 7. I don't know. I tend to lean more towards his assists without Trey, which he's done in 5 out of 7. So that's a better hit rate, and consecutive games without Trey with 11 assists. So I don't know if assists are good for DeJounte. I think DeJounte is classified as a wing, but
combo.
Oh, combo. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that a good matchup for against Brooklyn?
For what, assists?
Yeah. But you know what? Actually, it's not really, looking at him as a combo today doesn't actually make sense. It's really more about point guard, because he's going to be playing the point, right, with Trey out.
Yeah.
And
it's a terrible matchup for point guards.
It's really, look at it. Markelle Fultz 1, Cole Anthony 1, Anthony Black 1, Conley 3. Like, nobody's getting there. Drew Holiday was the only one, and Garland back at the beginning of a month ago. So
yeah, but
if you classify him as
points and rebounds for point guards against Brooklyn is good. So
all right, so that brings us back closer to the original ask, which was PRA. So maybe you focus more on points and rebounds. Again, it's hard to know how to classify him though, because he is traditionally a combo, but today he'll be playing the point. So I would lean more towards the 28.5 PR or go with the original gut PRA at 20. What was it? 36.5. Yeah. So
nice. All right, I think that does it. We almost 50 minutes here. So, but that was good. It's fun putting these alt builders together. So hopefully that was informative for everyone. And we'd love to see some of those bet slips today. So post them up in the replies there. If you cook up something nice, you get a nice plus 105 with 4 of these. We want to see it because we might be telling you. So let's see those slips, and I think we're all ready to make some money tonight.